Did you know that only 10% of property investors have managed to purchase more than 2 investment properties? In fact, 71%, a whopping majority of property investors out there are stuck on the first investment property. Now, as a buyer's agent, I meet new people every week, and I come across this scenario too often, where someone who migrated to Australia have recently received their permanent residency, and the first thing they want to do is buy their first home. Or a young adult in their early 20s whose parents are encouraging them to purchase their first home, take advantage of all the grants and so forth, because rent is dead money. Little do these individuals know that the home they choose to buy, or the property they choose to buy, will shape the next 2 decades of their life. In this episode, we explore the opportunity cost of buying the wrong property and the advantages of rent vesting, better known as renting where you want to live and then investing in different markets across Australia. Hi, my name is Roy and welcome to Roy Talks Property. On this channel, we discuss everything related to property investing, property finance, and the different strategies available for you today to build wealth through property. If that's of interest to you, make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you can get notified every time we upload a video. Your support is greatly appreciated. Now, the points that I'm going to cover in this video are not financial advice. They don't take into consideration your personal situation. I'm just sharing with you what my experience has been based on my day-to-day life and what worked for me. At the end of the day, you make your own decisions on what works for you. I'm pretty sure you've heard this quote before. You are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. We are social beings, and our decisions are mainly shaped by the people that we surround ourselves with. So, if you've migrated to Australia in the last 3 to 5 years, you're more than likely surrounding yourself with friends from your background, your community, and so forth. Now, those friends that you're hanging out with have been in Australia for a few years longer than you. So, imagine it's the weekend, you're hanging out with your mates in their 3 to 5 bedroom beautiful home in the suburbs. It's completely normal to feel like you have a lot of catching up to do, and you will unconsciously want the same things that your friends have because they seem happy, content, and that they are living a great life. And what makes it worse for you is that you're probably renting a 2-bedroom apartment in the city somewhere, and your instant reaction when you receive your permanent residency is that you want to start catching up. You want to purchase a home and you want to live closer to your friends and so forth. Now, on the other hand, you could be a young adult in their early 20s and your parents might be encouraging you to buy a property instead of renting because
rent is dead money, and it also makes sense to take advantage of all the benefits and the grants that are out there for you to get into the market ASAP.
Now, I'm not advocating that you don't buy a home. I'm asking some serious questions here that every single investor needs to consider, and I want to share them with you. The 3 questions that you need to think about are: question number 1, if you buy your first home, regardless of what that home looks like, will it be your dream home? If it won't be your dream home, then the question is, what's the point of wasting the time and the effort and the money to move in when it's not your dream home? And if it is your dream home, then by all means go out there and buy that property ASAP because you can't go wrong. Question number 2, if most investors are stuck on the first investment property, then they are clearly average landlords. And that's a question you need to ask yourself. Do you want to be average or do you want to build something greater for your future? That's up for you to decide. And question number 3, I can definitely help you with answering. If you end up buying a home for X amount of money, doesn't matter. What is the opportunity cost of buying that home instead of building a property portfolio? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through a hypothetical scenario of Penny and Gaurav. Penny decides to purchase her first home while Gaurav decides to go down the investment path. Let's have a look at where they could end up to in 10 years time. So the scenario that we're looking at here today is Penny and Gaurav. They both have the same income and they both have the same amount of savings, but they both make different decisions. Penny decides to buy her first home for $650,000. She's going to use the first home owner grant and other benefits, and she's only going to put down a $67,000 deposit to secure this property. While Gaurav decides to buy an investment property for $300,000 and rent where he likes to live. And because he has $100,000, Gaurav can afford 2 investment properties at $50,000 a pop. That's $100,000 into building a portfolio of 2 properties for the time being. In 10 years' time, let's just assume that they both have the same income. Penny still earns $100,000 and Gaurav still earns $100,000. Now, Gaurav have purchased 2 investment properties, and those investment properties were generating an income at the time of purchase of 5%, which means that each property rented for $15,000 a year. Fast forward 10 years' time, rents has gone up, and now Gaurav is renting each of his properties for $30,000 a year. And he also managed to save $80,000. On top of that, because Gaurav invested in property, he can claim negative gearing benefits and potentially claim about $4,000 per annum per property. That's $8,000 a year. Multiply that by 10 years, Gaurav can save another $80,000. The value of Penny's property in 10 years' time has doubled. We're assuming that the properties double every 10 years, and her property has doubled to $1.3 million. And Gaurav's properties that he purchased combined at $600,000 value have also doubled to $1.2 million. In 10 years' time, Penny has paid off some of her debt and can now afford to borrow around $300,000. Gaurav, on the other hand, has also paid off some of his debt, but because he has income-producing assets, investment property number 1 and investment property number 2, Gaurav can afford to borrow $480,000. So, Penny now decides to purchase her first investment property because she can now afford to purchase this investment. Gaurav, on the other hand, looks at his situation, realizes that he's done really well with his investments and decides to double down on this strategy, and he leverages $160,000, his savings, and his savings from the tax benefits to purchase 2 more investment properties at $300,000 each. Penny now has a portfolio that is worth $350,000. We don't count her home as part of her portfolio because that's her home. And Gaurav, on the other hand, has a property portfolio that's worth $1.8 million. Clearly, Gaurav is in a much better situation than Penny is. Penny is now stuck on the first investment property because she's maximized her borrowing capacity. Gaurav, on the other hand, has the luxury of now using equity or liquidating some of his assets to then go out and purchase his dream home. Penny is stuck, just like 70% of property investors out there. Gaurav, on the other hand, is in the top 2% in the country, and now, after 10 years, he could purchase his dream home. So now that we worked out the opportunity cost, there's a huge difference between a $1.8 million portfolio and a $350,000 portfolio. There's also a big difference between a $110,000 income and a $90,000 income. Gaurav can genuinely say that he can purchase his dream home, while Penny is still living in the home that she compromised at in order to get into the market ASAP. Now, in both scenarios, we ran standard returns. 5% rental yield, 10% deposits, and that the properties double every 10 years. Nothing special about what we did, but in reality, if Gaurav has a buyer's agent on his side working for him to find the best opportunities in the market, then Gaurav would be in an even better position than we estimated. Your buyer's agent role is to beat the average. So if you want to find out more about how we can help you, feel free to get in touch with one of the links or email me directly. Did you know that most passengers on the Titanic could have survived? The reason so many people died that because the ship didn't have enough lifeboats. You see, I look at investment properties as lifeboats. Sometimes life throws different curveballs in your face. And having a few lifeboats under your belt can definitely help you sleep better at night. Maybe you're over your 9-to-5 job and you want to start a new business. Having a property that you can sell or leverage allows you to fund this business without taking on too much risk. It gives you the runway that you need until your business is sustainable. Serious property investors don't wait until they're stuck before looking for solutions. They put measures in place so they don't get stuck. Now, if you're emotionally not ready to become a property investor, that's totally okay. There is nothing wrong with buying your own home if it makes you happy. You just need to make sure that you don't regret that in a decade's time. So you need to make sure that in 10 years' time, you will still be happy in that decision. And to make sure that you're happy in a decade's time, you really need to avoid one major trap that can severely impact your position in the future. Generally, first home buyers focus on the property that they're buying. They pay very little attention to the market that they're buying into. So if you're a first home buyer going to buy a home, live in it for a little while, and then turn that into an investment property, you need to treat it like an investment from day one. You need to do your due diligence, make sure you understand the market you're buying into, or better yet, hire someone to help you make this right decision. And if you're curious about what markets we're targeting for 2023, what markets are great for future potential capital growth, make sure you check out this video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you received any value from my video, please like the actual video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time.